I was born in a country in South America called Guyana. It used to be a British colony. But as a kid growing up, me and my brothers, my parents had this idea in their head that we have to be educated to be able to survive in the future. And this just posted us away to England. My brothers and I, my sisters, they got married, and well, we went to, my eldest brother first, he went to England to study medicine, because that's the thing, you know, and especially with Indian people, they medicine or engineer or lawyer, that's what you have to be. But we chose medicine, and we all graduated. My brothers are, my eldest brother is a surgeon, the other one internist, another one in clinical biochemistry, and so me. And but I was a bit of a rebel. I never accepted that everything people tell you, the authorities, the governments and ministries and whatever. I used to have something in my head that tells me, why are these people able to do that? Are they real? Is it true? Today I found out that all of it was just a farce. And I started as a salesman in 1968. And it was interesting because Sweden was the only country in the world that had a qualified approach for salespeople in the pharmaceutical industry. You had to go take exams and get a license and things like that. So I found that very interesting. So I dropped medicine and took the pharma industry. And from there to today, I wanted to know more about this industry, so I went to different companies. Most of them recruited me, as a matter of fact. Word of mouth spread, people, you know, it was a small community, and they gave me the opportunity to go to different companies, say to do clinical trials with one, another one to do sales management, and then I joined Lilly in 1972, and my career took off then. I started with them as a Scandinavian product manager, working here in Norway also. I knew about Norway very well. And then from that, they sent me to Sweden as their national sales manager, and then I was promoted to managing director at the end of the day. And after that, it's all history up to today.
Okay, so you have been managing director of Lilly?
Yes.
For how many years?
Well, my total number of years with Lilly is about 10. I was managing director for about 5-6 years, and then they sent me to Puerto Rico as a promotion. I was director there for the Caribbean, one Central American country, and Puerto Rico.
So that has given you a kind of a wide insight then in the pharmaceutical industry as such, is that right?
Oh yes, not only that, I was prepared for it myself, because I used to travel to a lot of countries and congresses and whatever to do their dirty work. Mm-hmm. And there I learned. People talk, you know, you meet a lot of people, you meet the culture of different countries in this business and how it's done and whatever. And all I can add to that is been crooked from the very, very start. When I was 62 years old, whoever, miracle maker, blessed me with a little boy. And that boy is the trigger for everything I'm doing and saying today. Because when I looked at him in the clinic, when he just came from his mother, I looked at him and I thought to myself, well, what is this? Here's this, why me? I mean, who at 62 years old, who wants to have a child and, you know, change diapers and things like that in the middle of the night? So I started thinking about this kid. Then when the boy was 6 months old, he went to the doctor. My wife took him to the doctor to get a checkup. And the pediatrician looked at my boy, checked him. He's healthy, very good, no problem. And now we must give him the vaccine cocktail that she had prepared. And this was for measles and something else. My wife said, I'm sorry, but my husband has specifically said no medication on this kid unless you discuss with him. Which is true. I did tell her that. And the doctor threw my wife and child out of the clinic and said, we only treat vaccinated children at this clinic. And I'm sorry to say this, but had I been there, I wouldn't be sitting with you now. Trust me. Yeah, I don't need to say anymore. But I went and researched this person and found that we're sitting in a committee together with a politician and a representative from the pharma industry that makes the pharma company that makes the vaccines. And then, like floodgates, you know, the Red Sea opening with Moses, that's what happened to my head. And I remembered every single detail of my verksamhet in the pharma industry since 1968 when I started as a salesman. And I said, oh, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. And then I realized that I was also a crook because I was doing the dirty work for all these people. And I've worked with many companies because I wanted to learn every corner of the industry, you know, which I did. And I decided to speak. I said to myself, John, the world needs to know. And what made it even worse was when the approval, the European Medical Association came with it first, and then the Americans, where they approved the use of these new psychotropic drugs for depression and everything else on children. And I thought, this cannot be right. They came up with something called ADHD, and I don't know what ADHD is even today. They say it's this, but prove it to me. They can't. Now here's the interesting thing that people don't know about. When these drugs came out, they're called the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, selected serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They call it ADS, ADHS, hyperactivity syndrome. Now when you have a syndrome, that's a disease. Then later when they started getting the hits and people are asking and we have to prove it and whatever, they suddenly switched and call it ADHD, which is a wide spectrum of speculation within certain parameters for a drug. And that D changed from syndrome to disorder. And that's what it is today. Now, hell, these people don't know their elbows from a hole in the ground. That's a nice way of putting it. But they are selling these drugs and killing people all over the world. There is an enormous bundle of evidence to show that these drugs, they don't work, and they create serious side effects, that even the children are being annihilated. Now, I don't know if other people, how they think about it, but me, personally, I can't stand it. It's sickening. That's why I've started to talk.
As a normal citizen, so to say, we have the impression that the pharmaceutical industry, as the whole medical industry, of course, has very good intentions. They are trying to help us to make life better. So how can it be that a whole widespread industry as this actually is, well, as you put it, that they are not doing what we are suppose that they are doing? How can, tell us a little bit about that. How can that function?
Why, the color of money, my friend. The color of money brings out that trait in humans called greed, power. That's what it's all about. And this has been going on for years after the war. Up to about the end of the 70s, starting the 80s. The companies were selling their drugs and they say, yeah, we're doing a lot of research, we spend a lot of money on research. And I believed them, I trusted them. But then suddenly, an investment boom suddenly came about. And I was at a level where I could see what was going on and how their strategy was built up. Because in those days when I was a salesman, product manager and whatever, if the company had sold $100 million in sales for one product in a year or whatever, we drank champagne. That was a success. But suddenly there was a leap, a gigantic leap from the 100 million to 1 billion. And that's when the blockbuster era started. And I was right smack in the middle, because the first ever blockbuster drug was the one I bribed the Swedish government to register. Yes, you heard me right. It's in the papers, it's all over, everybody knows about it now. So this surprise...
And which drug was that?
Prozac.
Prozac.
Yeah. In Norway they call it Fontex. And now, you know, we hear about people struggling and children dying all over the world, famine, no food and whatever. These people paid over $300,000 just to find the name Prozac. For me, that's sickening. Why is it that the name is so important if the medicine was good? So, people like you, as you say, you're a normal, I'm normal also, but having been in the business, you see the dirty cracks. And people don't know about things like this.
But my question then is, I regard most doctors as pretty bright-minded people. I mean, usually they are the top people in society, they get the best levels in school and all that. But how can a total amount of thousands and thousands of doctors be, as you put it, fooled by this? I mean, why don't they see through the...
Once again, the color of money. I found out something some years ago when I got into the industry and I started walking the ladder. And the company that I joined, I mean, when I joined Lilly, they were doing rubbish. They're spending a lot of money and their sales were nothing. And I'm proud to say, when I came there, things changed. I found out something at that time, that knowing that they do their bribery, you know, even the pen that they give the doctor, that's bribery. And I found that the Swedish doctors were not satisfied with their lives, because their colleagues in other countries were making more money. So the Swedish doctors, they were ripe to pick. So I would go and make them something extra to, you know, with their income and whatever, and they prescribe. The sales in my company went straight up. And the results of that, from 700,000 to 15 million, 5 years. And it's there in the books. I'm not telling you this because I want to brag about it. It's in the books. So doctors got the smell of money, and they forgot the thought of cure. You know, I say this every day now when I go out to speak. It used to be the Hippocratic Oath. first, do no harm. Primum est non nocere. But today, it's first, how much can I earn? And this, my friend, is what the change has become. And I don't agree with it. I don't accept it. I don't condone it. And I will fight them with everything I have, because right now, with all these years I've spent of my life working for a bunch of crooks and criminals, I know so much. Nowadays, with my network I have in the industry, if one of them go take a spit outside, I will know. And with the experience, I'm able to analyze what they're doing. Because these people do corruption meticulously. They plan everything. And it's got to stop. Unfortunately, the problem has grown bigger. Because, well, politicians, what can I say about politicians? But they have gotten involved. Because the pharma industry has gotten them in their pockets. And all the regulatory people, and so they control everything. The reason I believe that people were and still are in thought that doctors are demigods is a form of an evolution with the industry. Now, here's an example. The pharma industry, it's a pity I don't have the, but I can try to demonstrate to you. If you look at their websites, they tell you that, oh, we are doing research for mankind. We are bringing innovative medicines, and so forth and so forth. Then during the time they have this on their websites, not only one company, most of them, if not all of them, there are other reports in the media, not mainstream media, because mainstream media is, they sleep in the pockets of the pharma industry. Let's say underground media and everything. It comes out little drops of information, and one of them is Eli Lilly was fined in court $1.4 billion because they suppressed clinical information, negative information. They sold the drug illegally to indications that were not registered. And they had to pay a fine. Now, why would a company that has so much integrity and honesty and does their research and everything else be fined? $1.4 billion is a lot of money. And fined in one case. And there are many of them. Pfizer was fined $2.5 billion after that. So there's the question. Can we trust them? The answer is no. We should not trust these people anymore. And what do they do to pay? They pay, the reason why they pay the fine is because there are laws laid down which the pharma industry has stipulated to legislators that if they continue to fight the case, there might be a point in time when the judge will say, well, that drug has to be stopped immediately. To avoid that, because it sells for $4 billion a year, that's just even more money. So they pay the fine in order to continue selling the drug on the market, which is also something, it's hypocritical. Why does the authorities allow the drug to continue selling? So the fine, $1.4 billion. How do they pay that? they have a lot of money. But they go at the end of the month and raise the price 11.5%. And you know who? You pay for that. The taxpayer. Now this is, I mean, I'm looking at this globe in America especially, but it affects you here in Norway also.
Could we talk a little bit about vaccines? And again, I have understood from my youth and background that vaccines are developed to fight dangerous diseases. And obviously it has been able to take away a lot of the diseases like polio and I don't know what it's called in English.
Nothing else.
Yeah, but how still? I mean, to me it seems that it has worked. But what is your opinion on vaccines, and what are vaccines made of originally?
Vaccines is a money maker. That's all. They don't work. I mean, you mentioned polio, and you were trying to figure out what other diseases and whatever. Polio is almost eradicated. Doesn't exist anymore. It's a bug. All the other ones were not meant to cure anything. They were meant to prevent diseases to you. It's a kind of a prevention therapy. Now, they're like insurance companies. The insurance companies come and sell you an insurance for something that you don't know will ever happen. And because governments are involved, and all these people, it's all about money. The bottom line is what it's all about. Vaccines are the same thing. It's going to prevent a disease from happening to you. The only thing that cures on the planet is you, your body, the immune system. You got to keep it up to date. You got to keep it good. Otherwise, the enemy is going to attack you.
But I mean, vaccines, as they presented to us,